Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back from commercial, and welcome to Day 3 of PSIfest 2023 here in Charlottesville, Virginia, brought to you by the International Remote Viewing Association and Monroe Institute this year. Our guest in this segment is Pam Coronado. She is actually a psychic detective, and you have a popular TV series as well. What is the name of the series?
Sensing Murder.
Wow. Now, first off, let's start at the beginning. When did you find out that you had this ability? Was it an ability you came to naturally or through training?
Both. So
Okay.
started naturally. I was an adult. I had a family. I had kids, husband, dogs, the whole thing. Normal lifestyle. And I started having dreams. So one night I had a dream that I was in the back seat of a car. And there was a man driving the car and his girlfriend. And I recognized this man to be my husband. Only this wasn't my husband. This is a man I've never seen before.
Sure.
But in the dream, I knew this was my husband. And I realized that they were about to kill me. And so I was driving in this backseat of this car knowing I'm in serious trouble. And look out the window and I see an angel. And she's motioning for me to come. So, like Peter Pan, I did. I flew off, like, take me.
Yeah.
And I looked back at the car, and I could see the car, and I could see the road they were driving on. And I told no one. I told no one.
Okay.
Because I thought, people are going to think I've lost my mind.
Yeah.
So 3 days later, I'm looking in the newspaper, and all of a sudden, there's a picture of the man in my dream. And his wife is missing.
Wow.
And I was able to help them find her body.
That is incredible, Pam. That is what an amazing story.
Crazy story.
Like that is literally wheels hit the ground running.
Yes, and I thought I was going to do something else with my
Now,
life.
had this ever happened to you before in your life? How old were you when this occurred?
I was like 30.
Wow.
Yeah, no.
Wow. Never had you ever done any dream work, astral projection?
I mean, I'd always
like
had
that?
active dreams my whole life. I've always had a lot of really vivid active dreams.
Yeah.
But, I came from a super, super religious upbringing. And so we didn't talk about those things.
Sure. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was all just shocking and upsetting and mesmerizing that this thing turned out to be real. There's something from having a dream to it turning into real.
Yes. I say it on the show regularly. I build things in my sleep.
Oh,
And
cool.
if I have the parts, like I build them when I'm awake. Like if I see a piece of gear in a dream that I can build, like I literally did it last week.
That is very cool.
So yes, very much the same thing. Now, how do you process that information? Because of course our dreams typically, our dreams are very much our unprocessed reality from the day. We go autonomically through so much. Our brain just reacts karate style, and most of it just shoves out of the way, and that's what our dreams are, is the resolution of that kind of stuff mixed with filter of life, things like that, wants, desires. But how do you differentiate from a normal dream
It's a good question.
to that kind of dream, Pam?
I always say there's a aspect of it that's real, meaning you're not walking along the street and all of a sudden you're flying or you're swimming in a lake or it's very...
Reading a book with no words.
Yeah, it's all of a sudden there's a quality to it that's realistic. If I wake up and go, yeah, that could happen, then I know, this may actually be, more of a precognitive thing.
Okay. And do you keep a journal of these things as they happen and keep your eyes out? Do you have...
Here's a good one. Here's a good one. So this is just kind of relevant to the conference. It's just silly, but it's funny. So I had a dream about a week before the conference that they asked me to be in a conga line, and they wanted me to wear this goofy tinfoil dress.
Okay.
So I wake up and go, oh boy, what's going to happen at the IRVA conference?
Maybe I'll just show up for my talk.
And I'm like, you know what? I have a broken leg. I'm not doing the conga. So sure enough, they
Talent show night.
they did the talent night, and they all start saying, line up behind Tom. And I didn't realize that I let David Silverman dress me, and he had put this cape on me and a boa that was gray color, kind of looked like foil.
Wow.
And all of a sudden I'm like, we're doing the conga, and I'm dressed in this
silver
weird thing.
stuff. Wow. And yeah, like you said, it's a different feeling. It's a different feeling for you. And how do you associate that when you come out of the dream state?
I usually just record it. I'm very, adamant about journaling these things, and a lot of times they don't make sense in the moment. They seem nonsensical. I think that's why people discount their dreams, because they're nonsensical in the moment. Yeah. But if you look at your dream journal 3 months down the road and you go, oh,
yeah, no, I used to have dreams about friends in college and tell them about things, and they'd come back a couple weeks later like, wow, man, that's weird. Now to this day, even still, when I have a dream about somebody, like I text them like, hey man, you doing all right?
I do too.
Had a dream about your dad last night, man. Everything cool?
Yeah.
All right, just making sure.
I'll do that too.
Because I did dream work for many, many years. The idea of following my meditation guide.
I studied under Alan Vaughn, so Alan Vaughn was my first mentor.
Wow!
Because somebody introduced him to me when I was having all of these dreams, and really was being murdered a lot in my dreams. And I was like, hey, you got to help me.
And I was going to say, how do you process that? Because one of the things we talk about with Lynn Buchanan is, of course, getting into the world of psychic detective work. And is that something you really want written the spare space in your head?
Right.
At the time, are you ready to deal with that visceral emotional connection with a victim that's about to happen to you? And not much like not every cop can be a murder detective. Not every cop can go see a body every day, man.
That's correct.
Like even murder detectives go to therapists regularly. Even they see things in their dreams because of their jobs. So.
Correct.
How do you process that? How do you actively, I guess, clear that from you?
Yeah, people ask me that all the time.
Because that's thick.
One thing that they don't realize is that I compartmentalize things.
Okay.
So when I'm working on a case, I am focused on a task. I'm focused on describing a person or describing a location of a missing person or describe a car or a weapon. Or I compartmentalize it a lot. So I'm not really spending so much time in the horrors of it.
In the victim's mode, so to speak.
And I try now to not jump into the victim's mode or the perpetrator's mode. I want to just be a witness, like Lynn likes to say, a silent witness.
That's right.
I just like to watch from back here and observe.
Yeah, observe and take notes.
And then only the event itself, it's a need to know basis. If they know all that stuff, I don't have to relive it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's true. You don't have to go through all of the horrible things that somebody went through if they've already figured that out.
Right.
And that's absolute truth. You don't have to go digging where you don't need to go digging.
Right. I don't want to carry that stuff around if I don't have to.
And when and if it does leak through, how do you clear that from you? Because like you said, when you're working on something, you're compartmentalizing, but we all forget to till something in our garden, or you till the weed right under the soil. You know what I mean? So
for me, it's nature. The more time I spend in nature, the better.
Okay.
And a lot of people don't know this about me, but I actually coach basketball.
Oh, awesome.
So spending time with normal kids who are not in trauma, they're just happy kids.
Happy kids having fun doing kid things.
That's my thing that just brings me right back.
That is fantastic. That's great to hear.
That and nature.
That is really awesome. And now, how did you come about, because of course you came to this when you were 30, how did you, because the one person introduced you to your first mentor, how many people have you studied with to get to the point where you are now?
Oh my gosh. So I studied with Alan Vaughn, who was a really well-known parapsychologist and dream researcher. And then Bevy Jiggers, who had a group called the U.S. Psy Squad, and she taught active policemen how to use their own intuition.
Awesome.
And I trained with them as a group. And then I went on to study with Lynn Buchanan, Lori Williams, Paul Smith. I think I've had
so you've taken classes from pretty much everybody we've interviewed almost.
Yeah. Yes. Hours and hours and hours of classes.
But that's fantastic, though, to know that despite your natural psychic ability, that you have come to a protocol.
Yes.
Like remote viewing. Now, when you're viewing, which modality of viewing do you prefer to use?
Depends on the project.
Okay.
It depends on what they need from me. But if it's a missing persons location, CRV hands down.
Okay.
I'm going to do a full CRV session, formal CRV session.
Yeah.
But if they're just wanting me to describe a perpetrator or something, I'll just do that in clairvoyant mode.
Yeah. Okay. And I guess one of the questions I ask psychics, mediums, even empaths, how do you filter things in the world around you? Because I'm sure that's hard. I'm sure it can be very hard to not walk into a room and feel everybody.
The bubble.
Okay.
The bubble. So if you ever imagine Glinda the Good Witch, she floats around in a pink bubble.
Yeah.
That's me.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Kind of the sphere of white light concept.
And it's not that I'm rejecting people. I just don't want their energy. So it's like you being yours and I'll be in mine.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just have a little protective.
All right. Yeah. All right. Interesting. Because one of the things I like to do on the show is demystify things. And there are a lot of misunderstandings and misconceptions when it comes to remote viewing and the processes of remote viewing.
Yes.
And even the fact of your precognitive dreams are not necessarily remote viewing.
Right. Correct.
You use the remote viewing to confirm your precognitive dreams. Yeah?
They're kind of separate.
Okay.
Yeah, kind of separate.
And now when you do have a precognitive dream, what's your process? Do you contact like your buddy at the police department? Anything like that?
No.
You see it pop up in the news and it's in your journal.
Right.
How do you move that process forward once something has linked up between local news or national news and what you've seen?
So I'm a lot less likely to do that now that I'm more conscious. Now that I'm more conscious working with my intuition and I'm less likely to have too many dreams about world disasters and stuff. I still do.
Oh.
Right before I started having dreams, right before Ukraine was invaded.
Wow.
So I started having dreams about being I had one dream in particular, and I kept trying to tell everybody, and they were all looking at me like
you had three eyes?
Yeah. And I mean, like people here. But I was like, something's getting ready to happen. Something's getting ready to happen.
Yeah.
And they said, what? And I said, well, I had this dream that I was actually sitting in some sort of an army truck. And I was a passenger. And all of a sudden, I saw this explosion in front of us and that dirt wave coming at us. And it was coming right at us. Ooh. And there was no time for us to get out of the way, and it blew our vehicle backwards, but we stayed upright. It didn't flip us over, and I knew I was a soldier in this dream. And and then after it was over, we were all checking on each other. Are you okay? Are you okay? And we were all okay. And so I kept telling people, I'm like, I don't feel like I was here in the U.S., but I don't know where I was, but I'm telling you, there's going to be something. And that was just right before that invasion.
Yeah. And I mean, that is...
But what do you do with that when you don't
I was
know
gonna
where
say,
it is? You don't know where it is.
How do you process that? How do you, once again, compartmentalize something like that?
Right.
Because dreams can be very disturbing, and they can stick with you.
They can be very real.
They can be very real, very, very real.
Yeah.
To the point of like physicality can happen from dreams.
Yeah.
So, have you ever had any situation like that from a dream? Where something has maybe come through, or you were wounded in a dream and woke up with
not in the dream, but I've had it happen I had it happen when I was filming Sensing Murder. So we were filming Sensing Murder, and it happened where they sat me down at the table and they'd done all my hair and makeup, unlike today. I'm putting that in there, my raw form. And my nose started bleeding. And not my nose, but the top of my nose.
Oh,
and
wow.
They couldn't get it to stop. And it was actually holding up production. And my nose is just bleeding. And once I go, wait a minute. Because all the cases I was totally blind to.
Yeah.
And I said, just tell me if the victim was hit in the face. And they said, yes, she was bashed in the face. And I said, okay. And then I was able to let it go, and it stopped. But that was a real manifestation of... I was like, okay, that's...
And that's on film? Or was that all pre-production?
That was pre-production.
Yeah. Man, that is remarkable, though.
That was crazy.
Because I've heard cases of that. I've heard cases of people coming back with bruises from dreams because they were in a fight, things like that. And sure, there's 101 ways. Hey, maybe you were sleepwalking and you bumped into something. Who knows? But not in that case. You were surrounded by and the production crew is not light. You're talking a good 15, 20 people walking around on a proper set.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And they were like, what is going on? You know, so they were all...
Yeah. What has it been like for you? Because I've talked to a few people who've had we've got our friend.
We have a friend.
I've talked to a few people who've had the reality TV shows in the paranormal world, things like that. What is it like for you to translate this to that world?
Say that again?
Well, what's it like for you to translate your skills, your abilities to a television production? Because sometimes, and many of the paranormal investigators I know that had shows that don't anymore are like, oh, God, I think every day that I don't do that show anymore.
Yeah,
man.
it was hard.
Because unfortunately, there's some like zazz that has to be put in there. They're not going to show the fact that out of a 14-hour investigation, there was nothing found.
Yep. Right.
They aren't going to have a nothing found episode on Discovery Channel.
That's what I always say.
There's going to be the verve.
It's a highlights show. It still happened. Everything I did was live.
Okay.
So I would walk in not knowing the case.
That's
at all.
awesome.
I'd meet the detective on camera. We'd sit down, go through their case. And that was all live.
That's great.
So...
Way to go,
very
producers.
Stressful.
That's awesome.
Very stressful to have them go lights, camera, action.
Read.
Be psychic.
And go somewhere else.
But I learned how to do that under pressure. I really learned how to just pull in. And in fact, I have a funny story about that.
Talk about discipline.
They sat me in front of the cameras in one particular case, and they hand me some keys to do psychometry on, and I'm getting nothing, right? My biggest fear. Sit there and go, I don't know.
They're cold?
And I'm like, I don't know. So I said, you know what? Can I just go out in the hallway and take a little walk for a second? So I excuse myself. I go out in the hallway in the hotel. I'm walking, pacing back and forth, and I'm giving myself a pep talk. You do this all the time. Knock it off. Sit down and do this job.
You got this.
Just stop it. Just sit down and do your job. And I'm really giving myself a talking to. I go back in there, grab those keys, and I go. Right? Well, the detective decides, it was such a drastic change in me, he decides that I must have talked to somebody out in the hallway. And I'm like, I did talk to somebody out in the hallway myself.
Yeah.
But they actually checked the footage from the cameras to see if I came out there to
get information
to
from
talk to
somebody else about the keys. Wow.
and I'm like,
Wow.
no, it was all self-talk.
me.
It was like getting myself together. Yeah.
Wow. What an incredible story.
Yeah.
And where can everybody watch the show?
It's still available. Sometimes it's on Netflix and sometimes it's on Amazon Prime. It kind of jumps back and forth. The people get confused because there's a New Zealand version. So they'll go, I watched the whole thing and I never saw you. And I'm like, I'm in all the episodes. You can't miss me. So I think we did 11 episodes. So you're not going to miss me. But make sure you're watching the USA
That
version.
is remarkable. Yeah. And how do people get in touch with you if they have a missing person in their family or something that they need help with?
So I only work with families, that immediate family members, not like some distant cousin or an immediate family member or law enforcement. My website, pamcoronado.com. They can easily see how to connect with me there on a case.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for taking the time today. I know I just kind of like grabbed you while you were grabbing coffee. I was like, hey, I see you're doing nothing. Come on over here.
I see you're trying to get some coffee.
Yeah, I see you're trying to relax. Come be on camera. Seriously, thank you for taking the time. Your presentation yesterday was fabulous.
Oh, thank you.
And your work is absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
Totally amazing. One more time, look at the camera, give them your website.
I'm Pam Coronado, www.pamcoronado.com.
Awesome. Well, Pam, thank you so much once again. While you're online checking out everything from Pam Coronado, everybody make sure to stop on by Curious Realm. CuriousRealm.com is where you can find all the shows. That's where you can find our knowledge vault full of declassified government documents. That is where you can fill out our experiencer form. If you're an experiencer of the paranormal, if you have remote viewed something that is world-shaking, world-changing, get in touch with us. CuriousRealm.com/story. Send us your case. We will present it to our professionals and try to get you some answers. Stay tuned through this commercial break for continuing coverage of the last day of PSIfest 2023 here in Charlottesville, Virginia with the International Remote Viewing Association and Monroe Institute. We'll be right back after this.